Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad, and welcome to Thursday's edition of the dceu Daily. I'm sure when David Zaslav first took over, a lot of people out there thought this is going to be the same as Time Warner. This is going to be the same as AT&T. I did try and explain to you who David Zaslav was, and all you had to do is do your own research and look at the success story over at Discovery. Now, Warner Brothers Pictures is a bigger challenge than Discovery, but what he's done from the very off is remove bad people. Yesterday's removal of Toby Emmerich was the end of an era of toxicity and creative bankruptcy. It frees the studio up finally to do the right things. So I've got an article here where we go a bit deeper into David Zaslav's and Discovery's plans. David Zaslav outlines major Warner Brothers film overhaul, addresses Toby Emmerich exit by Matt Donnelly of Variety. Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav has finally committed to paper a new strategy for Warner Brothers Motion Picture Group. In a Wednesday memo to his staff obtained by Variety, Zaslav told studio employees that he will create 3 distinct film segments around Warner Brothers. This is important. Warner Brothers Pictures New Line Cinema, Warner Brothers Feature Animations, and DC-based film production. These units will presumably report to Zaslav directly. The CEO said the idea was workshopped with the outgoing film group chairman Toby Emmerich, a veteran executive he called a great leader and a friend to me and to many. Now, excuse me, can I just call bullshit on this? You've just got rid of him. But he did say earlier, in another article I was reading, that this isn't about show friends, this is show business. So clearly he's just removed the friend. But this wasn't done with Toby Emmerich. Of course it wasn't. But he's going to say something nice because he doesn't want it to sound toxic. And they're going to give him some production deal anyway. He'll have a production company. He'll have a few features that never get actually greenlit. So that'll be very consistent with Toby Emmerich's history at Warner Brothers Pictures anyway. So that I'll call bullshit on. But it doesn't matter. He's gone. And that's all that matters. Earlier this morning, official word came that Emmerich will be replaced by former NGM film leaders Michael DeLuca and Pam Abdi at the end of the summer. Shortly after the memo was circulated, Warner Brothers Discovery sent an official notice calling the structure long range and added that DeLuca and Abdi will oversee operations in all 3 units until clarity comes for Warner Animation and DC Films, both of which have leaders presently in place. I wouldn't call them leaders, would you? And they're not going to have any control right now. Emmerich has accepted a production deal on the Warner lot. In his own memo to his team, the 20-plus year company veteran said he'd be rooting for the motion picture group and that he'd seen them on the other side. He'd see them on the other side. Regarding DeLuca and Abdi, Zaslav said that the pair were supremely talented creative leaders with a proven track record of success, and that he looked forward to seeing them take the nearly century-old iconic studio to an even greater heights of excellence in films. This is Zaslav's memo. This morning, Toby Emmerich informed his team of his decision to step down as chairman. We know it's not his decision, David, but you carry on, of Warner Brothers Pictures Group and launch his own production company. I have known Toby for years. He's a great leader, no he's not, and a friend to me, no he's not, and to many I'm very happy for him, and even more thrilled that he has chosen to remain a part of our Warner Brothers Discovery family through this new production venture. We're also grateful to him for agreeing to stay at the helm of Warner Brothers Pictures Group through a transition period this summer. Oh, it's so funny. Over the last few months, Toby and I have been talking about the best structure for Warner Brothers Pictures Group and the idea of creating 3 distinct film segments around Warner Brothers Pictures, New Line Cinema, Warner Brothers Feature Animation, and DC-based film production. I have greatly appreciated his insight and partnership throughout this process and feel confident this is the right strategy for our company going forward. Right, these are adults. So adults don't come out publicly and say, this guy's shit, this guy did this wrong, that wrong. Of course, this is very polite and this is very gentlemanly. I respect that, but he doesn't mean a word he says about Toby Emmerich. Because if you love him so much, mate, and you think he's such a great leader, why isn't he still the chairman of Warner Brothers Pictures Group? Because you know he's incompetent. It was during these same discussions that Toby first shared with me his desire to start his own production company. I told him he had my absolute support. He's incredibly talented with a well-deserved reputation throughout the industry as a bold, creative visionary while at the helm of New Line Cinema and then the entire Warner Brothers Group. Hang on a minute, where have I gone? I've just jumped, sorry about that. His own production company. I told him he had my absolute support. He is incredibly talented with a well-deserved reputation throughout the industry as a bold, creative visionary, while at the helm of New Line Cinema and then the entire Warner Brothers Pictures Group. He has been a driving force behind a diverse collection of highly successful movies and series, including The Notebook, Elf, Crazy Rich Asians, A Star Is Born, and The Batman. Yeah, there's not a lot of a list there, is there, David? I have no doubt he will deliver even more exceptional, one-of-a-kind stories in his new capacity, and I look forward to continuing our working relationship for many years to come. It's really, really funny, isn't it? Because they would have sat in a room and he would have said, listen, mate, you're incompetent, you're crap, so I'm going to do you a favour here. In your outgoing speech, I'm going to tell the world how I love you and respect you. But none of it's true. We know that. But it's okay, it doesn't matter. He's gone. That's all that matters. We have a deep history of world-class production here at Warner Brothers Discovery, and our intent going forward is to tell more of the best stories and share them with an even bigger audience around the world. Toby and his team will play an important and valued role in this endeavour. We're so glad to have them join us, and we can't wait to see what they will create in the months and years ahead. Absolutely jack shit. Because this production company thing is bullshit. This is to protect his destroyed reputation. He has been fired, everyone. Make no mistake about it. But of course, we're dealing with adults here, so they had to wrap this up in beautiful tinsel and wrapping paper so it looks better than what it is. He didn't decide to step down because he was forming a production company. He's been fired, but they can't tell you that because they've agreed. They've agreed to do it this way. I don't foresee his production company being a reality or ever seeing any green lighting from David Zaslav. But of course, this is how they wrap it up and this is how they glam it up, but we know the truth. Toby Emmerich was involved with greenlighting Justice League. He was the one, along with Walter Hamada, he brought in Walter Hamada in from New Line Cinema. Now, Walter Hamada had great success with the horror division at New Line Cinema, but running DC is a big challenge. He started off pretty well, but then when Ray Fisher got into him, and Ray Fisher really wanted to get into him because he needed to expose him, because he needed to use Walter to get rid of Toby. So all that stuff prior to the Snyder Cut was all done on purpose to out Hamada, but it wasn't really ever about Hamada. It was about hitting Toby Emmerich, and ultimately it worked. So make no mistake, you know, Toby Emmerich has been fired, and quite right too. So now I want to discuss these different divisions that they're setting up. So let's discuss these three different divisions they're creating at Warner Brothers Discovery. So Zaslav told studio employees that he will create 3 distinct film segments around Warner Brothers Pictures New Line Cinema. Warner Brothers Feature Animation. So this will be a separate studio. And a DC-based film production. Basically, this is the one we want to talk about. This is going to be DC Studios. So this is going to be a film-based studios with a president separately in charge of it. But as the article says, everyone, all these 3 different department heads at the animation and at DC and whatever else they're doing, right, will report directly to Zaslav. But, you know, what Zaslav has done here, and we'll talk about the Todd Phillips rumours a little bit later on in today's DCEU Daily, But what he's done is he's surrounded himself with successful people. In terms of Todd Phillips directed the Hangover trilogy. Great success, great movies. The Joker movie, you know, I don't have to tell you that was a great movie. You know that was a great movie. And so, you know, using Alan Horn, the former Disney and WB CEO, as a consultant. So he's getting advice from some very, very good people. And so why are so many people celebrating the exit of Toby Emmerich? Because he was toxic, because he was creatively bankrupt. And as I said earlier, forget the flowery words from David Zaslav. David Zaslav knows exactly who and what Toby Emmerich is and was. And that's why he's being removed. So David Zaslav is doing exactly what I told you he would do. Create a DC Studios. Act 1. What does that mean? What does that mean for the DCEU? I know a lot of you are very, very confused. Now, I'm going to put the upcoming 5 movies to one side. Because right now, because I've explained to you what I would do, and, you know, I would just start again now. And I'd forget about them. But there are decisions to be made. There's decisions to be made about The Flash and Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Black Adam is getting a trailer next Wednesday. You would assume it's getting released. Shazam! Fury of the Gods, I was confident about, but there doesn't seem to be much marketing about that right now. It is a bit early, to be fair. But when you look at those 2 movies next year, they're in trouble. So what does this mean? A DC Studios. As I just said, they will have a leader. They will have a president of DC Studios. He or she or they or whatever will be in charge of that. And, you know, it will be up to them to make the big decisions, you know, and obviously report directly to Zaslav. It's very interesting that the box office analyst months ago, Luis Fernandez, said to us on Twitter, this is just a CEO. He won't be hands-on. You, Luis, were very, very wrong. Because that's what he is. This is the old-fashioned, you know, excuse me. Had a bad night, sorry about that. Really croaky throat. That teach me going out drinking. But yeah, this is not an old-fashioned CEO who just sits in an office and plays golf. No, he's hands-on. He's in charge of every department. He's overseeing everything. This is the old-fashioned mogul of the 40s, the 50s, the 60s. You know, phone in one hand, you know, deal. Yeah, that's a deal. Talking to actors directly, talking to directors. Yeah, let's do this, boy. You know, the old J.R. Ewing mold. You know, so he's very out there. You know, he's doing all the deals. He's trying to turn this company around. He's making the right decisions. He's getting rid of the bad people, the creatively bankrupt people who are doing bad things. That's why you should celebrate the exit of Toby Emmerich. And so, in terms of the DC Studios, it's important to understand that the DCEU is not a going concern. The DCEU is very similar to the Arrowverse right now. It's finished. Its day's gone. The DCEU never had a day. So I think the DCEU we know right now, I suppose you could call it the Hamadaverse, is dead. Even with Black Adam and Shazam! Fury of the Gods coming out, it's dead. Now, later on as well, I will talk about Henry Cavill's future. He has a future, but Mick, how can he have a future if the DCEU is dead? Well, Henry Cavill was never part of the Hamadaverse. Was he now? They even rejected one of his pitches with Chris McQuarrie, the Mission Impossible Fallout director. Of course, Henry was in that film. And so that's going to be a very interesting facet of the conversation going forward. But ultimately, we are looking at something new, you know, dynamic and different, and something that's going to work. You know, this model of having different divisions is a great idea. Now, David Zaslav will be as ambitious in this animated department. He wants to rival Disney. And that's what journalists are saying. And they're right. He wants to rival Disney. He wants to destroy Disney. He wants Warner Brothers Discovery to be the #1. And quite right too. I wanted to read you an article from The Wrap pertaining to Henry Cavill. Unfortunately, it's a subscription-based site and I'm not paying to read fucking articles. But I did find the important bit about Henry Cavill I wanted to read out. As stated by a DC source for The Wrap, They need to make a Superman movie. And if the plan is a shared universe, which it is, a Superman led by Henry Cavill needs to be the focal point. Now, this is very interesting to me because there was talk in this article, so I hear, that, you know, the suggestion is that Henry Cavill plays a Superman that isn't Snyder's Superman. A brand new Superman in a brand new universe that has nothing to do with what's gone before. What do I think about this? I think this would be absolutely fantastic, and I'm all for that. Ultimately, Superman needs to be front and center. He is box office. He is iconic. He can work if done properly, and this is the way to go. Zaslav has been going on for months now about Superman. One of the reasons Emmerich and Hamada are finished at WB Pictures, whatever he says about Toby, and, you know, we'll discuss Hamada's future very shortly as well. It's important to get all the facts out there so you guys and girls and whoever else, however you identify as, understand what's going on. So Zaslav's been trying to get Superman freed up, you know, and J.J. Abrams has been holding him hostage and the Justice League Dark characters hostage as well. I expect the arrangement with J.J. Abrams to be broken very soon. I think Zaslav would be happy to pay him off just to get rid of him. So yes, you know, we need a brand new franchise. We need Superman front and center. We need the OG Superman. And if it's going to be Henry Cavill as a brand new Superman, I'm up for that. So this is exciting. We may have to be patient about what, you know, with all of this and, you know, wait, because I don't think things are going to hit us straight away. I think we're going to have to wait until July, at least, to find out what's going on here and what decisions they've made. They've drawn up a plan, which I read out to you. Zaslav and Discovery have done that. 3 different departments. The one that means anything to us is the DC one, the DC Films Division, DC Studios, basically. Now, I'll be interested in seeing who's actually going to run that. Before I start discussing Todd Phillips' kind of part he's going to play in the future of DC live action, I want to talk about Walter Hamada a bit more. As I said earlier, this is a solid guy, a talented guy, but he's no DC Films president. And from the moment Ray Fisher outed him, he was in hiding. He had no choice because of what they got him to say to him. You know, can't you throw just Joss under the bus? So that hampered his position, and he couldn't come out because the company wouldn't allow him to address these accusations. So his time was done there. Walter Hamada's time as president of DC Studios has been a mixed bag, as I also mentioned earlier. He did very well over at New Line. I suspect he'll go back there with his tail between his legs. Now, when will this be official? Again, I think next month we'll get some clarity about his position, but his position is finished, right? He'll be reporting to Zaslav. Zaslav is running DC right now. I suspect all the decisions we've seen being made with the change of dates, the delays, pushing forward Shazam Fury of the Gods, were basically David Zaslav. Even before he officially took over the company, can he do that, Mick? If he's doing it secretly and nobody knows, of course he can. Things can be done. As I say, this is a J.R. Ewing kind of, you know, model, business model. As I said earlier, phone in the hand, yeah, let's do this. He's ruthless, he's relentless, he wants to take Warner Brothers back to the top. They haven't been at the top of their game for many, many years. I was a small boy when they were on top of their game. So this is an exciting time to be a WB fan and a DC fan, because this isn't going to be the embarrassing organisation we've been criticising for so long, because David Zaslav has had those criticisms aimed at these people as well. And he's making good decisions, and Hamada, make no mistake, Walter Hamada is finished at DC. Now, something else I want to get into, and I mustn't forget this, and I nearly forgot, which would have been sacrilege, is Zack Snyder's situation now that Emmerich has gone. And Hamada's going as well. For Hamada to go, Emmerich had to go. So that's brilliant. That's what we wanted. That's what we needed. Because as I said yesterday to people, we want the very best people. I don't want to start pitting the Hamadaverse versus the Snyderverse, but here are the facts, right? Consistent box office within the Snyderverse. A franchise with an identity and a vision, whether you like that identity and vision or not. It was different, but oh boy was it entertaining, oh boy was it compelling, and weren't the production values absolutely stunning? But not for everyone. That's the problem. But whether or not it's for everyone, I think in years to come, more and more people will appreciate the Snyderverse, and not many people will be talking about the Hamadaverse. I think that's already forgotten. You know, the guy shouldn't have never been put in that position. It's not really Hamada's fault. The job was too big for him, and he came in to repair a very, very, difficult gig. And his multiverse strategy idea alongside Jim Lee was a good idea. But unfortunately, things got in the way of that. One of those things is Saslav, Ezra Miller's behaviour. So that's dead now, and fuck knows what's going on with this Flash movie. Again, we're going to find out next month. I would hold on to your socks next month. I think that's when the big announcements come in. So Walter Hamada is done, but let's talk about Zack Snyder here, because the other day I was over on Vero and someone said, Zack, is there still hope? He knew exactly what the question was pertaining to. He did that emoji. So, was it that emoji? It doesn't really matter. It was the muscle emoji. So, Zack clearly is going to play a part in the future of DC live action. I don't know what part he's going to play. I don't know if he's restoring the Snyderverse. I don't know if he's directing a possible Final Crisis movie. Again, next month, we should get some clarity. So if I was a Snyderverse fan, I'm a Snyderverse fan, but if you're a Snyderverse stan, don't lose hope. I think some very exciting things are coming for your fan base, our fan base. Right. DC wants Joker director to be a Kevin Feige-like advisor. I'll explain to you what's going on after this. Warner Brothers Discovery is looking at Joker director Todd Phillips to be the answer to Kevin Feige, as they want him to advise on future DC films by Richard Fink of Screen Rant. Warner Brothers wants Joker director Todd Phillips to be DC Films' Kevin Feige. While most famous for his raunchy comedies like Road Trip and the Hangover trilogy, the director stepped into the world of DC in 2019. Joker, which was both a tonal shift for the director and DC, as the film was a mid-budgeted, adult-orientated drama as opposed to an action movie. Joker paid off for Warner Brothers in a big way, grossing $1 billion worldwide, earning 11 Academy Awards nominations, including Best Director for Phillips and Best Picture, and walked away with 2 wins, Best Actor for Joaquin Phoenix and Best Original Score. Should have won more than that. Ever since Joker, Warner Brothers has been trying to replicate the film's success. Rumours have circulated that the studio has approached Phillips and Phoenix for Joker 2, but no official announcement has been made regarding that front. With how much emphasis was put on Joker before its release about being a one-off film, and Phillips' comments about superhero movies, Phillips seemed unlikely to return to the DC world soon. But Phillips did also confirm that he went to Warner Brothers about a Black Label franchise. We'll discuss it. This is not stopping Warner Brothers from actively pursuing Phillips, as according to THR, Warner Brothers Discovery Chief David Zaslav has approached Phillips about advising on future DC film projects. It notes that Phillips would not serve as an executive capacity, but this is part of Zaslav's plan to sort out DC, which remains a significant challenge and a high priority for Warner Brothers Discovery. While Phillips and Zaslav have developed a rapport, the report says that Phillips does not have a massive knowledge of the DC universe. Ever since the merger of Warner Brothers and Discovery, restructuring the DC projects on film and television has been a high priority, for the studio was in for a major overhaul. Warner Brothers cancelled various DC projects like the Wonder Twins film for HBO Max and CW series like Batwoman, Legends of Tomorrow and Naomi. Warner Brothers Discovery reportedly is frustrated with producer J.J. Abrams. Yes, as I said earlier, Abrams is finished at WB. That will take time to dissolve. Lack of progress on DC projects. The producer is attached to the likes of Zatanna movie and Constantine series on HBO Max. Since the DCEU's creation, they've had multiple individuals tasked with overseeing the projects creatively. Originally Zack Snyder, then Jeff Johns and John Berg. In April, it was reported that Warner Bros. Was looking for their own Kevin Feige figure for the DC brand, while also wanting to make more singular vision films like The Batman and Joker. Right. Again, that's not true. Yes, they do want to do films That they want the best of both worlds. They want DC Studios to be a place that has one defined vision and do offshoots as well. You can do that. But I'll explain something to you, because we could be going in a very interesting, darker situation here if what they're saying about Phillips is true. Because this is interesting now. So it makes a certain amount of sense for them to approach Phillips on that front. However, Phillips' lack of knowledge of both the larger DC universe as well as his previous comments about the Janier may not be the best fit for the franchise going forward, as the thing Kevin Feige brings to the MCU is both an understanding and love of the material, but also the logical sense of a producer to realise what will work for the mainstream audience. Now this is interesting, isn't it? So what is this? What's going on here? So the THR, the Hollywood Reporter, claiming that they're using Todd Phillips as a consultant. I think they've got their information mixed up a bit, and they're definitely not going to use him as a Kevin Feige figure. Or maybe they are, for his own DC Black Label live action universe. Because this is what he suggested when he came up with the Joker movie. No, Todd isn't a fan of the superhero Janier, but he put a lot of Joker Easter eggs in his movie. He did his research, and ultimately, you don't have to be a fan of this stuff. You just need to get it. You just need your information. You need to understand. This film made over $1 billion, so he must know what he's doing, and he wanted to implement a DC Black Label live-action universe. So I believe this is what's happening here. Now, could this be the main DC universe, a Black Label? Unlikely, because it wouldn't attract the mainstream audience. Or would it? You know, $1 billion worth of a global audience came in to watch Joker. So how do we know a DC Black Label wouldn't do the same? But the reality is here that they're probably going to allow Phillips to work and develop his own DC Black Label. DC Black Label is an active label over at DC Comics. You know, singular, Elseworld properties. And Todd's plan was to work on individual characters like maybe a Mr. Freeze, Harley Quinn standalone movie, and to do with those characters what he did with Joker. That would be excellent, right? I think it would work. Now, ultimately, I don't expect this to be the one franchise, but this can be an offshoot franchise. And, clearly, David Zaslav isn't a fan of the multiverse strategy because it's confusing, but he can have a singular mainstream universe, or he can have the DC Black Label over there. Or the DC Black Label can be the main universe, and it can suck into the Batman, Matt Reeves, the Batman, into that as well, still allowing Matt to do his thing, which will be very, very interesting. We'll have to wait and see what the definitive plan is, but that's how I read this situation. Todd Phillips is not going to be a main Kevin Feige figure, but he will for his DC Black Label. What I think about this is excellent. Hamada rejected the Black Label idea. He was wrong. There's money to be made with this. This is huge. This is brilliant. I'm glad Todd Phillips and David Zaslav have got a rapport, that they have an understanding. Thank fuck David Zaslav is a genius. Thank fuck he's passively aggressively going after this franchise and trying to do the right things with it. Finally, this is exciting. Bring it on. Aquaman 2's Dolph Lundgren reflects on filming with Amber Heard. As we know now, Amber Heard lost her case. Johnny Depp, her ex-husband, took her to court. She wrote an op-ed and mentioned that she was a victim of domestic violence. She was awarded $2 million. He was awarded $15 million. They awarded for him. He won the case. So let's take a read at this. This is very, very much about the DCEU and connected. King Nearest actor Dolph Lundgren reflects on filming scenes with Amber Heard for the upcoming Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, praising his co-star by Ryan Northrop. Something tells me Dolph's been there, right? You know what I mean? Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom's Dolph Lundgren reflects on filming scenes with Amber Heard for the highly anticipated sequel. Released in 2018, Aquaman would eventually become the highest-grossing DCEU movie released thus far, earning an impressive $1.148 billion at the global box office. Unsurprisingly, after the success of the first film, Aquaman 2, now officially titled Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, was given the green light, promising to bring back characters like Patrick Wilson, King Orm, Amber Heard's Mera, and Lundgren's King Nereus. Many plot details about Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom remain unknown, but DC Films president Walter Hamada recently revealed that the film will act as more of a buddy comedy between Aquaman and Orm, marking a departure from the Aquaman and Mera duo in the first film. The upcoming sequel has made headlines recently, as it was a significant point of contention in the now concluded trial between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. His ex-wife, although Heard, who did return to film scenes for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, has expressed doubt that her character would feature in the film at all. Hamada's comments confirm that Mera will still appear in the sequel. No, it's not going to happen. You won't see her. You won't see her. You won't see her in this movie. Because if you see her in this movie, everyone, this movie won't make any money. I'm sure it's a great movie. James Wan is great and his writers are great. But if Amber Heard appears in this film, even for under 10 minutes, this film is fucked. As per news report from TMZ, Lundgren shares that his experience shooting scenes with Heard for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom was entirely pleasant. Lundgren explains that he had a great experience with Heard and recalls that she was nice to everybody and down to earth. Check out Lundgren's full comment below. She was great. I worked with her on the first Aquaman, now the second one. We shot the last four in London. She's terrific. I had a great experience with her. She was very kind, nice to the crew, nice to everybody, just down to earth. She had her newborn baby with her on set with many, which was kind of cute. So, I've heard from many people, including women, who have not had good experiences with Heard. But let me be clear. I'm sure she's nice to the right people. And I'm sure she's a bit shitty to the people she can get away with being shitty to. Although both Depp and Heard have been at the centre of the public eye for weeks due to their highly publicised trial, Heard in particular has become the target of extreme backlash on social media. Even as far back as 2020, fans have demanded that the actor be removed from the Aquaman sequel, with one petition recently hitting 4.4 million signatures. Despite fans' sentiment, however, Lundgren's comments affirm that at least in this experience, Heard was a consummate professional on set and a pleasure to work with. It remains to be seen what Heard's role will be in Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, but Lundgren's comments confirm that on-screen father and daughter duo have at least filmed scenes together. It's possible, of course, for those scenes won't make the final cut of the film, but the first Aquaman did leave the door open to further explore both characters in the sequel. While audiences still have a while to wait before seeing what is next for King Nereus and Mera in Aquaman and Lost Kingdom, it's clear that for Lundgren, filming with Heard was a positive experience. I couldn't care less, because I've just explained to you, she wasn't horrible to the people who, if she's horrible to, could cause her consequences. She's one of those people. She was being horrible to the underlings, the people who bring her tea, the costume, the hairdresser people. That's who she's nasty to. But I think this is tragic, because she was solid as Mera. I was happy before all this shit to see her continue as Mera. But I'm a defender of DC and its future. And if someone's going to cause a movie to flop, like Amber Heard or Ezra Miller, I'm sorry, you have to go. It's as simple as that. If this woman remains in this movie, you know, this movie won't make any money. I love her scenes with Dolph Lundgren in the original Aquaman movie. That's not the issue here. I mean, listen, if it wasn't for Johnny Depp and her relationship with him, we would never have heard of her. She would never have acted in Aquaman or anything else, and she hasn't been in very much. She owes everything to Johnny Depp, but now Johnny Depp is going to destroy her because she attempted to destroy him. The extreme left in Hollywood thought they could take down another white male actor, a big movie star, to show that the era of the movie star is over and men are all bad, and they lost bigger than they were ever going to win. The extreme left are an evil movement. Basically, you can compare them to Lord Sidious's evil empire in Star Wars. They manipulate people. They gaslight people. They spread around false propaganda. They are hateful. They are not good. It doesn't mean I'm part of the right wing either. I don't like politics in general. But this movement is evil. We have won the first battle against it. But the war has just begun. And just to reiterate, Amber Heard will no longer be in this Aquaman movie. And that is a fact. Now, let's move on from failed DC live action to successful DC live action with Superman and Lois. Let's discuss the decision Lana made, the heartbreaking decision at the end of this week's episode. Superman and Lois star explains Lana Lang's surprising decision. Superman and Lois star Emmanuel Shrickery, can't say his surname, I'm sorry, explains her character Lana Lang's surprising decision in Season 2, Episode 12, Lies That Bind, by Rebecca Van Acker of Screen Rant. Following Lana Lang's tough decision, Superman and Lois star Emmanuel Trickery explains her character's reasoning. Season 2 of Arrowverse series has featured several surprising moments as Clark, Lois and the rest of their family deal with Ali Aston and the bizarro version of themselves. However, one of the show's most shocking scenes thus far took place at the end of Superman and Lois Season 2, Episode 11. After keeping his identity a secret from Lana for their entire lives, Clark finally told her he's Superman. The episode ended on a cliffhanger with Lana's reaction left up in the air. The most recent episode started immediately after Clark's reveal. Lana spent the Superman and Lois hour trying to process the news. She made it clear she felt betrayed by Lois, especially since she sought Lana out to become friends despite having a huge secret. I don't like some of this sometimes, the way it's written. I mean, I'm not talking about Superman and Lois, I'm talking about, secrets being revealed. Now, I'm sure it's absolutely valid that Lana feels betrayed, but Clark is Lois's husband. She's got his back. It doesn't mean she's not your friend, It means her husband is her priority. Quite right too. Though Lois told Lana she could share Clark's identity with her family, Lana opted to keep Sarah in the dark as she didn't want to make her lie to her little sister. Arguably, the episode's most surprising moment came at the end when Lana told Clark and Lois that she needed time away from them and thought a clean break would be best. Considering how intertwined the two families have become throughout Superman and Lois 2 seasons, it's a big change that could drastically alter the show's status quo. Yes, this is a very interesting situation. I'm going to say something that might not be comfortable to some shippers. Look, Lana and Clark probably still love each other at some level. Why do you think he told her? He's probably still in love with her. I love Lois Lane. I've always loved Lois Lane. This is not a shipper battle. I do believe at some level he's still in love with her. And I do believe at some level she's still in love with him. So this is very, very interesting. Something else I like, that we've got this white family. I know it's Superman from Krypton, but we've got this white family. But then we've got this Latino family, and they're together and they're friends, and this is going to kind of divide them. I like this. This is representation and inclusion done well, and it's very rarely done in Hollywood. Mainly we see the most represented minority everywhere, while minorities like Latinos aren't represented. Do you remember all the propaganda about that writer-producer of colour complaining that she couldn't have a black Martha and Jonathan Kent? But at the end of the day, the producers did the right thing. No, that's not where we're going with this. But we've got a prominent Latino family in this show. That's representation. Speaking with TV Line about the episode, Chicory talked in part about Lana's decision to stop seeing Lois and Clark for the time being. She explained that her character's desire to stay as honest as possible despite knowing this huge secret played a role. It did feel like a breakup in a lot of ways. It was a breakup. It's a temporary timeout. Lana just became the mayor and preached about transparency, and these secrets are so enormous. All of this is complicating her complicated life even more. She has to look out for her family, and she can't be the liar. That's where she gets really stuck in her boots. She can't be the liar every single time they're together. The problem is now, Lana knows the truth. So every time she doesn't reveal anything to the world, It's not a lie, unless you're asked a question and you lie, it's not a lie. But she does know the identity of Superman. That's complicated, and that also puts her in danger. Clark was kind of very selfish for doing this. But Clark has been affected, and he's not been thinking straight in season 2 anyway. The Bizarro stuff has affected him. It's probably, on some level, why he revealed himself to her. That woman is his constant. He's known her since he was a small boy. You know, and maybe in his darkest hour, he went to her. He had to tell her the truth. He was a little bit broken emotionally. I suppose it was a moment of weakness, and I get it. Chikri's explanation of Lana's decision in Superman and Lois makes a lot of sense, as she says Lana just became mayor of Smallville, making Clark's timing inconvenient at best. After running an honest campaign, she's now faced with having to keep a massive secret from both her constituents and friends who helped her get elected. Additionally, Lana has long done whatever is necessary for her kids, and staying away from Clark and Lois for the time being could keep her family safer. It's not going to keep her family safer, Miss Journalist. I can't remember if it's a man or a woman journalist, but it's not going to keep her family, because basically, as soon as you find out Clark's Superman, that isn't a good thing. It's like travelling with Doctor Who. It isn't the safest thing in the world, but the ride's fantastic. Especially coming off her kidnapping in episode 11, it also allows Lana to compartmentalise keeping the secret away from other aspects of her life, including her career and relationship. Basically, I understand why she's taking the break, but the break doesn't help her. She has the knowledge now. Knowing the knowledge is the problem. And she can't bury her head in the sand, and this will come to play in the finale. Despite Lana's decision probably being the right one for now, it's good to hear Chikri describe it as a temporary timeout. Lana is a unique Superman and Lois character in that she's essentially become both Lois and Clark's best friend, maintaining a separate relationship with each of them, and serving as an irreplaceable confidant. It's rare for an episode to go by without Lana talking to either Clark or Lois, or both, and the show would likely suffer long term without those scenes. With any luck, Superman and Lois will find the right balance, giving Lana time to process her understandable hurt without keeping her away from Lois and Clark for too long. Very interesting, very interesting. I mean, listen, they outed this situation on purpose. Of course, we could have a mind wipe by the end of the season. It's going to be interesting how Todd goes at this, the showrunner. He's obviously done this for a reason, but ultimately, Lana and Clark are not just friends. There's always been something there. She's married, she has children, of course, and he's got children and he's married, but there is something there. Now, Clark would never do anything to hurt Lois or cheat on her, but he is kind of having two relationships at the same time, and he definitely, at his darkest hour, told her who he was, because he needed the person he's known for such a long time to know the truth. And that is fantastic storytelling. Let's keep on the Superman and Lois subject. By the way, I finally got the season 1 box set on Blu-ray. I had to get it all the way from America. What a pain that was. Not available in the UK to ship over to Cyprus. Ridiculous. Anyway, Superman and Lois season 2 episode 13 trailer teases an intense finale. The trailer for Superman and Lois Season 2, Episode 13 teases things getting intense in the final 3 episodes before the season finale by Andy, whose surname I can never pronounce, from Screen Rant. Sorry, I've got to pop up, everyone. Thank you very much. Now we can get on with it. Warning, this article includes major spoilers for Superman and Lois Season 2, Episode 12. The trailer for Superman and Lois Season 2, Episode 13 sets up an intense final 3 episodes before the season finale. While Superman and Lois Season 2 has experienced the most hiatus out of all the Arrowverse shows this year, I think it's really funny how they're obsessed with calling this an Arrowverse show. It hasn't stopped the series from upping the ante over its last few episodes. Over the course of the Season 2, Superman and Lois has been tackling the Arrowverse's take on Bizarro well, depicted as an alternative Earth in the new multiverse. Do you know what? I want to count how many times this geezer says Arrowverse. However, alternative realities aren't the only challenge that its titular characters Clark and Lois have been dealing with across recent episodes. While only a handful of people know Clark Kent's secret, the Man of Steel recently revealed to Lana Lang that her best friend and Superman are one and the same. Like other Arrowverse shows, here we go again, keep counting, Superman and Lois is now having its own period of a major character processing the lead hero's secret identity. Superman and Lois Season 2, Episode 12, Lies That Bind, followed the fallout of Clark's confession, the truth to Lana, while also tackling the next chapter in the Bizarro World arc, as Ali Aston has become an even more significant threat. As Ali grows more powerful, things are about to get even more intense in the remaining episodes of Superman and Lois Season 2. Following the airing of The Lies That Bind, the CW via TV promos has released a trailer for Superman and Lois Season 2, Episode 13, titled All Is Lost. The trailer sets up an intense final 3 episodes before the finale, which airs at the end of June. Check out the trailer below. We're not going to do that because of copyright. While All Is Lost, which was written by Christy Kozek and directed by Elaine Monaghan, will air next week on Tuesday, June the 7th, there will unfortunately be another break after its release, despite having the Superman and Lois Season 2 finale scheduled for Tuesday, June the 21st. The episode was pushed back to June 28th. No specific reasons was given for the change. This means that Episode 14 will instead take the finale spot, leaving Tuesday, June the 14th with a repeat. Superman and Lois star Bitsy Tulloch revealed earlier in the year that the reason for Season 2's many hiatuses were due to issues caused by COVID-19 pandemic. One of the biggest takeaways from the new Superman and Lois Season 2 trailer is that Jordan Kent is seemingly trying to reason with Lana to let him tell Sarah the truth about Clark. Whether or not Sarah will actually discover Clark's secret before the season is over remains to be seen. Another development that isn't clear in this trailer is whether Season 2 will tease the introduction of the new Superman and Lois Season 3 villain, who Tulloch recently teased is very cool. It's possible that the new big bad will be set up before the season is out. Regardless, based on All Is Lost trailer, Superman and Lois Season 2 Episode 13 will be taking it to the next level before the final showdown on June the 28th. So look, it sounds all very, very exciting. But one thing I want to ask you, Superman and Lois fans, fellow Superman and Lois fans, of course, huge Superman fan, why are they making such a big deal of not telling Sarah? It could mean when she does finally find out, this could start a chain reaction. We know that Sarah, off-screen, has had mental health problems in history. It could be that something really bad happens once she finds out, if she finds out who Clark is. I've always kind of liked the dynamic between Clark and Sarah. They don't spend many scenes together, but there's definitely an interesting dynamic when they are in a room together. So I'll be very interested to see how she reacts to this. So she's a very interesting character played by a wonderful young actress. Superman and Lois is class. And finally today, let's repeat the main headlines. Toby Emmerich has been removed as Warner Brothers Pictures chairman. Todd Phillips' Black Label is in development. He will be running that like a Kevin Feige figure. But David Zaslav wants more. A DC Studios division run by one person and very good people who understand DC Comics, a one defined mainstream universe that can bring in mainstream custom. Basically to repair the mistake that was made with Man of Steel, because that wasn't a mainstream movie. The Snyder movies weren't mainstream. They were great. They were brilliant. But they were never for the mainstream audience. Even Snyder admitted that. So Zaslav is looking for mainstream money from DC live action. Quite right too. There's a lot of things that we just don't know what's going on. The whole thing's in flux. And I think by next month we should have more clarity in what's going on. This has been the DCEU Daily with me, Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you never miss this beautiful perfection. And I'll see you tomorrow with even more DCEU Daily. Until we see each other again. Goodbye. Au revoir. Auf Wiedersehen.